Welcome to the Valley Today, a public service presentation of KAIL-TV. We scoot up the hill to Oakhurst to visit with the Children's Museum of the Sierra, an interactive museum for young people and their families. Join us as we visit with Steve Montalto and Jared Lyman. It's up next on the Valley Today. And welcome to the Valley Today. With us today is Steve Montalto. I've never met a Montalto before.
There's not too many on the West Coast.
Children's Museum of the Sierra, and this is certainly a different place. This is an interactive museum for kids of all ages.
Of all ages. And actually, you know, it's called a museum, but it's really much more of a discovery center, exploratorium.
Yeah.
It's interesting, we get a lot of people. In fact, we had families in yesterday. The dads wanted to go run off and do something else, and they said, well, how long does it take for kids to go through here? It's like, you don't go through here. It's not like a normal museum where you're looking at different, everything is get in, involved, hands-on, role-playing. So it's like however long you want to be. And most time we see that the kids have a hard time actually leaving when it's time to go.
Oh, really?
It's like, no, I still want to do. Yeah.
A lot of families now are geared towards putting their children in daycare, and certainly with something like this is a hybrid, because I've really never seen anything like this before. This really isn't a daycare. Like we mentioned earlier, this is for children of all ages. And I would assume that you were one of the older children here.
One of, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of grandparents that come when you're talking about kind of daycare and and how things work in today's family kind of structures and stuff. There's a lot of grandparents that are helping out with the younger kids during the day, and this is one of the places that they come to spend a lot of the time, and they love it just with how enriching it is for the kids. But one of the coolest things is to watch them, parents and grandparents, actually get in there and interact with them, role play and play. I mean, I've seen grandparents, we have like our little younger area here for kids under 5, in here playing with them. There's a little camper we'll see over there with, you know, grandma, grandpa, down in there actually just playing, having a grand time with them, and it's the coolest thing
What
to
a
see.
great way for families to reconnect. You know, we're so dispersed now with modern technology and all that, and to be able to come here, you know, grandparents can connect with their grandchildren, and certainly parents can connect with their children too. They're probably just as amused with this facility as the children are.
We get the comment from a lot of people that they're having as much or more fun than the kids do, and I know.
So do you ever have to kick the parents out and say it's time for you to go home?
You know, we have a little 5-minute timer on the thing there, and there's been a couple parents who said, no, your kid is ready to go. You need to go too.
Now give us the history of how this museum got started, this interactive...
The museum started as a place with a storefront to it, or with a physical place, actually 16 years ago, at a little, very small, about 850 square foot area founded by Jean Hand. She'd come up with the idea, or a grand experience when she was doing, I think, some graduate work of doing playgrounds for kids that were very dynamic, physical learning kind of models, and saw that there was a need for something that really was experiential here. And like I said, it was actually kind of catty corner over there, a small little storefront with a little bit of exhibits and a lot of love and support, and then relatively quickly moved it into this space, and it's grown to about 3,500 square feet worth of exhibit space, and just more stuff jammed in throughout it. It has been, Jean was a director and, as I said, the founder, but up until actually February of 2012. And then she retired. It was time to kind of move on. And a group of citizens were actually very concerned that this place would go away. There are significant financial challenges. Attendance and membership and funding support had been declining over a number of years. So a bunch of us kind of jumped in and tried to figure out what we would do to kind of just re-engage. We started with a bunch of new programming activities and stuff like that last year, and tried to really get out to activities, get our name out there, bring our activities out as much as we could. And last year was a great success towards that in terms of like reinvigorating the presence of the museum in the community.
This is a nonprofit, right?
This is a nonprofit, that's correct.
And so people, they sign up as members and support it in a membership.
That's correct.
Can they also come? I guess you have transients coming through here, people that are going to Yosemite, and this is kind of a stop for them too. On their way up to Yosemite, they'll stop here for a half a day and let the kids explore.
We get, especially during the summer, it is rather seasonal in terms of especially the visitors coming to the area, folks going to Yosemite. I mean, the reality is, especially with younger kids, is that you can maybe do 2-3 days hiking around in the valley, but there's times when you need something that's really much more kid-focused. So we get a lot of families that actually look specifically for family-focused, kid-focused activities in the area. The other place that we get a lot of visitors, especially during late spring and summer, is around Bass Lake. Bass Lake is a great recreational...
And certainly a lot closer here to downtown Oakhurst than Yosemite is. It's a little more involved to get into Yosemite from here.
It is. It's about, to get into the valley, you're talking 50 miles. I mean, to the park, it's only 14-ish.
Yeah.
But actually into the valley, it's a good hour drive or so. But we get a lot of families that are over around Bass Lake that also, come on over here.
Yeah. Oh, people that are vacationing at Bass Lake.
That's correct. That's correct.
There's a lot of stories to be told here. You've got interactive things like with theater and the bank, and you've got a geology exhibit here. You've got a piano here. You've got some of the older equipment that came from Sierra Tel, and it's just a diverse amount of knowledge that you have here.
We get a lot of comments about, especially we get people that have traveled around the States or even around the world when they've come in, and they like I don't call it the density, if you want to look at it that way, the amount of different stuff. I mean, from undersea activities, a little bit of space, our own little ambulance and custom-made fire engine and stuff. There's, especially with attention spans of kids, they're short.
Very short.
Very short. Though, if they really get engaged with something, you can see them do, like we'll see them on the stage for putting on a show for a good half an hour. But it lets them kind of engage at their own pace, and they're like, oh, okay, now I want to go do this. And roll, and then again, it's not just look, it's all get in and do and imagine.
It's getting your hands on and getting the nuts and bolts of this rather than just more of a reading and arts and crafts. You really do just get into it.
You get in, and you pretend. And one other very interesting thing on, I think, almost all the exhibits, you'll see these little signage that we have down here. There's a vocational tie-in that we have to, I think, currently to all the different spaces, so that and that was actually funded through a grant with the Whitney Foundation to give this awareness to visitors, especially those of lower on the economic scale and stuff. Hey, there are opportunities with all of this stuff. And they're not, when you're thinking of like banking, or you'll see in the next room with our medical area, it's not the high aspirational jobs. They're not just those, not just a doctor or a surgeon or stuff. But there's this whole gamut of possibilities, in these fields.
Park rangers,
policemen,
firemen, bank teller, accountant,
security guards. There's all kinds of different stuff.
And I think that's smart. I really do.
And that was an intentional thing that we structured. Actually, as a collaborative process of figuring out how to have put something in place that would work with the Whitney Foundation.
This is more of a reality check with indoctrinating kids into how the world works once they become older and they're going to participate in the workforce, certainly.
And it's and I think especially in places like the Oakhurst area and the Foothills area, where there's not a lot of industry, there's not a lot of technology, not a lot of stuff. Seeing that there are these opportunities and being able to put that in front of the kids when they're small and kind of just let them, not preach it to them, but let them kind of experience it and kind of see it organically is a good way to show them that there are these possibilities.
I've met some young adults that probably came through here when they were children, and they are pretty amazing now. There's a couple of guys that are web designers and work in film that came from this area. And really bright kids, and I bet they got their start here.
Well, and they may actually have their handprints someplace on the walls that have been around here for a number of years.
This is a really forward-thinking approach to having kids come in.
It is, and that really, I think, is the the real core of Jean's, her focus, her vision of the place. And a key part of what we're really trying to do is we're trying to keep it alive and moving it forward.
Have you had other, and I'm not going to call this daycare because certainly it's not. This is more of a hands-on and a museum quality to it. But have you ever had other companies come in here and look at this model and say, oh, we could better improve what we're doing in another part of California, another part of the Western United States, or?
We actually haven't had that much, but what we do get is schools. We get a lot of field trips. The schools bring their kids on in, and a big part of it is the Whitney Foundation aspect, the vocational tie-ins, but also we have mapped all the stuff in this museum to the current California school standards.
Yeah.
So as teachers are looking to see, because nowadays everything's got to fit.
I bet this is a grand destination for teachers to bring. We're running out of time.
Okay.
Do you have a call for volunteers? Are you looking for volunteers?
We're always looking for volunteers at two different kinds of levels. One is really just kind of staff support to run and be a general docent. The other is one of the things, instead of just being, I want to call it passive in terms of what we have, but actually putting classes on and providing, using what we have as an environment for content. If people want to come and teach an art class, photography, do some science stuff, come on in, and we would love to be able to structure classes.
That's the easy place to find. It's Children's Museum of the Sierra.org is your web address.
Is our web address.
And 559-658-5656 is the number to call.
That's correct.
But of course, people can get on the internet and go to children'smuseumofthesierra.org, and they can see all the features that you have here and what you have to offer.
That's correct. And they can also find us on our Facebook page, Museum of the Sierra, and that's also probably, if you want to see pictures of what's going on today, and just talks of science and other things that are relevant, that's probably the most up-to-date and where the community interacts the most.
And one of the latest things that you're doing is you're partnering with Madera with the Arts Council, right? And you're doing a little art thing with the kids.
Yes, we are. Last year we were fortunate enough to have the Madera County Arts Council offer to do, or partner with us to do photography and art classes, and it was a big success. That was funded by a Chichansky Community Grant last year. This year, that mechanism hasn't worked yet. So we actually went out we really wanted to do that again or do something similar. So we actually went out to two of the local service organizations, the Sunrise Rotary here in town and the Seroptimus group here in town, and got sponsorship from them to actually pay for the artists to come in and do classes this summer.
Very nice.
4th of 5 weeks, and we'll be wrapping that up right before school starts.
We are beyond 12 minutes, but I wish I could give you hours because this is very interesting subject matter. The Children's Museum of the Sierra here this is Avenue 426, just off of 41.
This is Golden Oak Drive off of 426,
that's
off
right.
of 41.
Yeah, and this is the Valley today here at the Children's Museum of the Sierra.
Thanks for having us, or coming out. I'm really glad you're here.
And you are public relations for the Yosemite Visitors Bureau.
I am. I'm the director of PR there and also the president of the board of directors here for the museum. It's kind of a love of mine, this place. And
you have I've neglected to ask Steve, but I think Steve's got a 13-year-old. Do you have any young children?
I've got an 8-year-old daughter and then an almost 8-month-old baby. So as she gets past museum age, I'm bringing another one right on in.
Right, so good for you.
Yeah.
And what does the 8-year-old think about this place?
She loves it here, and she gets really excited whenever I have to come down here for an event, because then she gets to come with me and have fun. And she has spent so many hours here, at the different activities, and she never gets bored of the place. And I think that's testament to what makes the museum so special, because the kids come here, they're using their minds, they're using their imagination, they're experimenting, they're learning, but in a way that doesn't feel like learning to them, so they have fun.
Yeah.
And with that kind of staying power, something really special, especially with the short attention span of kids.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that the short attention span, so this really captivates children because there's so many different things here to do. This is just, It's
Yeah.
magnificent. It really is.
It is, and you mentioned before kind of like the realism of some of the things. I mean,
Yeah.
we have, science and astronomy and so forth for kids who are interested in science, but not every kid is destined for a career
Right,
in science.
yeah.
This, me, I'm not doing math, so I knew that's not my field.
Right.
But, for somebody who's not interested in science, there's other things, like you mentioned the baking before, like, the pizza area here. There's a lot of great careers in food services that actually are pretty lucrative.
Right.
And, getting kids exposed to these things at a young age helps get their mind going now. Because, I mean, in all reality, you're never too young to start thinking along that process.
Right. Yeah. That's very good. And so tell us about the Visitors Bureau and how else you're trying to get people to stop in Oakhurst rather than people blowing through and going right to the park. You want them to stop here also.
Well, one of the great things about our region is there is so much to offer, like the Children's Museum and so many other museums up here. The Visitors Bureau, we promote Madera County, California's gateway to Yosemite.
Right.
Highway 41 entrance to Yosemite is already the most popular entrance. But our goal is to get people to see what else there is to see and do in the area.
Right.
You've got what we call the Fossils to Falls Trail, starting in Chowchilla with the Fossil Discovery Center.
Right. A relatively new
Exactly.
museum that came online a couple of years ago.
Yeah, new museum, another great place for kids and adults. You've got a lot of agritourism opportunities in Madera. Homegrown cellars, a working pomegranate farm, the Pomegranate Festival every November.
Right.
The Madera Wine Trail. We've got some of the best
Very
wineries.
popular
Yes.
now. Some of the best wines in the world are now coming out of the Central Valley and coming out of Madera County.
Exactly. These wineries that are real well known are buying the grapes from Madera County.
Right.
And our wineries are using those same grapes to make their vintages and their varieties. And really, we have award-winning wineries that are competing against the big guys.
Yeah.
And they're doing well.
Yeah.
Then head on up, Bass Lake, North Fork, the exact center of California, the Sierra Vista Scenic Byway, the railroad up in Fish Camp, Coarsegold. There's all these museums, art galleries, and so forth. There's so much to see and do that people could spend a week in the region here before they even get to Yosemite.
Right.
And that's what the Fossils to Falls Trail is about, is showcasing to people that it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. So many people just drive somewhere on vacation,
Right.
drive home, and they miss so much in the middle.
Yeah.
And when you explore all that, you really make your vacation a lot more than just the destination.
How do you connect with visitors that are coming through? How do you make contact with them for people that are just planning to just blow through and not stop, but missing so much because they haven't?
Once they're already here, we get a lot of them through our door at our visitor center. We have a visitor center here in Oakhurst, and we also have a branch visitor center at the Fossil Discovery Center on Highway 99 in Chowchilla, just outside of it. We work on what we call the upsell. People will come in and, most of them are asking for information about Yosemite.
Right.
But while we're here, our volunteers will kind of feel them out on what more they're looking for, kind of get their interest and so forth, and then make suggestions on what, follows their lines of interest, so we can really help them craft, a vacation that not only gets them to spend money here, which benefits everybody, but also gives them a better time, which in turn will kind of turn them into, little corporate promotions for ourselves. They'll go home and tell everybody about what they did.
Certainly part of the gold rush was centered in part of Madera County, and do you guys address that at all?
Yeah, with towns like Coarsegold, you can kind of figure out, what that town was founded for.
Yeah.
There's a great museum there that details the history of the region and the gold miners who, were part of that gold rush. There is so much history here. And it's interesting. People from Europe will come here and go, "Oh, history, cute. You've got a couple hundred years. Call me when you have a castle that's 1,000 years old." But they still like seeing what our history is. And when they kind of look at the difference and what happened here so many years ago and how it's changed and how some things have stayed the same.
Right.
And our history really does go back, for thousands of years when you think about it, when you look at the tribal culture.
Sure.
The North Fork, the Mono Indians there. There's the Sierra Mono Indian Museum in North Fork. It's one of the few tribally owned and operated museums in the country. And it has this amazing display that really showcases that culture that's been in this area for just countless generations. So that history goes back really far and is really diverse too.
Yeah. So what else are you promoting with the tourism department?
It's kind of interesting. We have so much to offer, and it's one of those things. It's almost trite when you say we have something for everybody, but in this case it's trite and true. we really do just have this diverse array of attractions, like the wine trail I mentioned before, but for people looking for more family style trips, the Children's Museum, there's art galleries. Bass Lake, you can't take your kids on vacation and not have them go swimming in the lake.
Yeah.
You've got all kinds of things to do there, fishing, hiking, boating, some great activities in that area. To outdoor people, there's so many great hiking trails, rock climbing and so forth. The Sierra Vista Scenic Byway, I mentioned that a moment ago. A lot of people don't know about that, even people who live here, but it's described by some as a secret Yosemite.
That's where you either come off of Bass Lake and you go
Exactly.
you go southeast, and then you come back out through North Fork. Or
Exactly.
You go the other way around.
Yeah,
right?
You can go out through North Fork,
Yeah.
go that way, and then you come out by like Bayshore Road by Bass Lake.
And there's nothing wrong with 41. 41 is scenic in itself, but
Yes.
to take that scenic byway, that really is that is something to behold.
It is. I mean,
And not a lot of traffic.
No,
either,
not at all.
You go
I
out there.
first went in Labor Day of 2010. It was my
Yeah.
first trip up there. And if I saw maybe 20 other cars, I'd be surprised. And that's a major holiday weekend with a lot of travel. So that just goes to show you how few people know about it.
Yeah.
And it's known as a secret Yosemite for a reason. You get a lot of those same types of views,
Right.
but you're there by yourself.
Yeah. So for people that want to connect with Madera County Tourism, how would they contact you?
Well, they can go to our website. It's yosemiteThisYear.com, all one word. Or, we've got our Facebook page, facebook.com/Yosemite Sierra. We've got all the social media channels, YouTube and so forth. You can find some videos. They can book hotels right there on our website if they want. Give us a call if you've got some questions. We've got our travel counselors and our volunteers who love to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
559-683-4636. We'll give you all kinds of information, and we'll have your vacation pretty well booked.
Yeah, well, that's cool, because certainly there's a lot more to see than just Yosemite itself, and you're connected with a lot of the local merchants and things like that, so you can turn people on to going to get a great steak or maybe getting some sushi or whatever. And,
yeah, I mean, from dining to lodging to activities, we got it covered. We'll tell everybody, we'll find out what they're interested in, put them in line with the right thing.
And you and Steve and Charles were talking earlier about is there a new brewery up here in Oakhurst?
There is. The Southgate Brewing Company just opened up Memorial Day weekend here. Some fantastic microbrews, really good burgers, and hot wings. I was begging them before they opened, give me hot wings, and they're on the menu, and they were worth the wait. They're fantastic.
So it was worth being a pest about it.
It was, yeah. He told me that those were my wings, and I thought he was kidding. They really are my wings, because I kept bugging them. So
certainly you can help people itinerize their travels here, because Yosemite isn't the end all be all, although a lot of people do think that. But there's a lot of other things they can see. They can see giant redwoods also.
Yeah, the sequoia, the Mariposa Grove of giant sequoia in Yosemite. But outside of Yosemite, there's the Nelder Grove of giant sequoia. Lesser known, lesser traveled, but some truly amazing specimens of giant sequoia. Some of the largest trees in the world are in that grove.
Yeah. Now, do you work in concert with the park system also?
We work very closely with the park. We have a great partnership with them, and actually, because of that partnership, we have a mobile version of our website, and actually a mobile app that people can download that will help them plan their vacation, like you said. They, from just finding what they want to, if they happen to be in the area, just click the "What's Near Me" button. It'll show you every attraction that's right near you.
Yeah, because people don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
So when they can go on to a site that tells them, well, you got this here and you got that there, then that gives them that widens their perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of putting it. They don't know what they don't know, so I mean, they don't know to ask for this.
Yeah,
or
there's
they
a
didn't
lot
even
of bright
think about
people that come
but,
here, but they would come here and they wouldn't know that maybe there's a mine that's still working or whatever.
Yeah, or the Children's Museum, kind of off the beaten path.
What was that web address again to drive people to Madera Tourism?
It's yosemiteThisYear.com, all one word, all together, all spelled out, and we've got some good information on there.
And what was the phone number for people who want to call?
559-683-4636.
Any closing thoughts before we wrap this show up?
I know a lot of your viewers are in the Central Valley already, but it's a great place for a staycation as well.
Yeah.
You don't have the time or the money to go on a big vacation.
Right, just
there's
come up
plenty in
the
your
hill.
backyard to do.
I always look, I live in Fresno now. I come from a small farm. I was born and raised on a small farm in the Central Valley. But I always look forward to coming to Oakhurst because, especially in the winter when it's foggy down there, you just jet up the hill. You're here in 50 minutes. and it's nice and sunny, and you'd swear you were on another part of the planet.
It is. It's amazing how quickly that changes. You just kind of come out of that fog sometimes, and it's just like a whole new world.
Yeah.
And the pictures looking down on the fog actually makes for some really good photographic opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Jared Lyman,
Thank you
so much for
Appreciate
being on
it.
The Valley Today. And The Valley Today is a public service presentation of this great TV station. Come and see the Children's Museum of the Sierra here in Oakhurst, and certainly to see things around Madera County.